Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Joey from Don't Call My Wax Junk. Hoping everybody out there is doing well and staying safe and spending some quality time with your family and enjoying your cards and doing the things that this time that we have is kind of allowing us to do. Um, I was looking through some of my collection and ran across a card that I wanted to share with you. And talk a little bit about, not necessarily the card, but the company that produced the card. This is the 1975 SSPC Hank Aaron. It's a beautiful 8, which is kind of a high grade for a card of from the 70s. But I realized that I had it and I didn't know a whole lot about the company. SSPC, and I figure maybe a lot of you out there aren't familiar with the story of this company, and it's a very interesting story as I've done some research and wanted to share it with you. I found it interesting enough to share, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's kind of a story of David and Goliath, so to speak. I think all of us know, especially those of us that collect vintage, that Topps has been the big dog for generations, and for a long time was the only show in town, so to speak. We don't really count OPC. I think we all know that OPC and Topps, are basically in agreement with each other. OPC had Topps permission to distribute in Canada. It was all under the Topps umbrella, so I don't look at those as two separate companies. I look at it as one. And so, mid '70s, there was a gentleman by the name of Mike Ehrenstein who decided he wanted to kind of step in the ring and challenge Topps for the rights to produce his own set of baseball cards. And he produced some smaller sets, regional sets, oddball sets. He'd even reproduced some classic sets, reprinted them. But this was going to be his first attempt at making his own set of baseball cards. He was a business owner, had a company called Trading Card Memorabilia Associates, and out of that company, SSPC was born, which is Sports Stars Publishing Company, and they actually SSPC produced a 4-time-a-year baseball card collecting magazine called Collectors Quarterly. And get this, Collectors Quarterly was edited by a young card enthusiast named Keith Olbermann. Yep, that Keith Olbermann. Before Sports Center, before he started getting a little weird on some news programs, yes, he was the editor of this baseball collecting magazine, which makes sense because I've heard a lot of talk about the impressive collection of stuff that Keith Olbermann has. But nonetheless, this magazine was going to kind of be used to push out this SSPC set of cards. 630 cards in the set. The original intent was obviously to sell the set in stores. They did have a way that you could order the sets through the mail for right around $10 back in 75, 76. Of course, Topps didn't take all of this laying down. They sued Ehrenstein as part of the settlement, because I doubt very seriously that a owner of a small company could compete with the legal prowess that a Topps would have had. So a settlement was reached. The agreement, not all the details of the agreement were available, but part of the agreement that is known is that Topps said, all right, anything that you've already made as far as your set, you can dispense, sell, get rid of. You can't produce any more. You can't advertise, but you can get rid of what you already have in inventory. So Obviously, enough of the inventory was in place that he was able to make several sets of this SSPC collection, and that's why a lot of it is out and available, and it's very affordable. I think today you can buy the whole 630 card set for 120, 130 bucks. What's interesting about the cards themselves, as we take a look, is that most, if not all, of the player pictures, and Ehrenstein, by his own words, said that he used the 53 Bowman set as his kind of inspiration. He liked the simplicity of just having a player picture on the front, no branding, no logos, no names, nothing but a picture of the player and then some information on the back. But most of the photographs, if not all of them, were made at New York stadiums by freelance photographers. And there were no releases signed by players. I'm sure there's all kind of legal issues with that, but basically they were all kind of candid shots that were taken and then put on these cards. And you can tell if you look through the set, most, if not all, of the players that are non-New York players, they are in their away uniforms. And then, of course, the Mets and Yankees are typically in their home uniforms. And there's a lot more Yankees and Mets cards in this set than any other team. So that also makes sense. Let's take a look at the back. The back included, it looks like, the player number, the team, some information about the player themselves as far as height, weight, when they were born. And then this information here was actually written for all 630 cards, was written by Keith Olbermann, which I thought was really interesting. Then you got the card number down here at the bottom, and then the copyright information here in the right-hand corner. So you could look at the SSPC set in a couple of ways. One, yeah, it was a kind of a one-time flop, didn't last because of the power to shut it down that Topps had. Or you could look at it as this way. The work that Ehrenstein did with the SSPC set kind of laid the groundwork for bigger companies like Fleer to come along 4 or 5 years later and be able to challenge Topps for the right to produce and distribute a set of baseball cards. So 1980 Fleer came in, and I want to say the next year is when Donruss came in, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But nonetheless, I think we can all look back at the SSPC set as kind of the, kind of kindled a fire that some other companies decided to continue that work and challenge Topps for the right to get involved in the baseball card game. So guys, I just thought that was a really interesting story and wanted to share it with you. Again, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch everybody down the road. Everybody take care.